Some things do have a price, things like therapy and nutrition and certain services that are beneficial. But really the best things are free. And if you remember that the best things are free and the best things are within you to tap into, it puts you in more of an empowered position and it puts you in more of a place to be ready for recovery. There are many choices that are involved in eating disorders and in eating disorders recovery, and people have to take responsibility for their actions and envision a year that's filled with great things for you, things that will make you smile, things that will keep you smiling, things that will help you cope, things that will express your talents and your gifts, things that will feel worthwhile, things that are simple and priceless. When you give something too much power, it can often ruin it because what you're essentially doing is you're bringing anxiety on yourself. You're giving yourself more stress, something that seems bigger than you are, and it doesn't have to be bigger than you are. You're in control. So you have to kind of figure out which kind of a person you are if you're either one of these. If you are the kind of person that constantly finds yourself in front of the mirror body checking and being criticizing towards yourself, or if you're the kind of person who avoids those mirrors at all costs because you're just so very much afraid. And if you are the kind of person who's constantly body checking, you need to challenge yourself to limit your time in front of that mirror, or to go without a mirror for one day each week and kind of build up your time that way without it. If you're the kind of person that avoids the mirror at all costs, you need to slowly reintroduce the mirror to your life and face that fear and understand that your perception may be skewed and that reality is definitely less scary than what you have in your head. If you're setting overall big picture goals for yourself, you're going to need to look at all the baby step goals that will lead you up to those big ones and see if they're realistic, see if you do actually have the means to get to those goals, and if you don't have the means, you then first have to work on getting the means and achieving that before you can achieve the bigger goal. This can be hard for people to grasp, but it's really, really important to partialize, break everything down, start small, and work up to the larger goal. Goals can a lot of the time be broken into much smaller pieces, and it's not that the goal is unachievable, it's just that it really is maybe 5 or 6 smaller goals that make up that larger goal. And I think writing it down on paper is a really good way to see what you're up against, see what you do want to achieve, and you can kind of cross things off as you do them. Start your day off with something good, whether that is reading a passage from a book of motivational sayings, whether it is rereading an email from a very good friend who supports you every morning, whether it's going to a positive blog for 10 minutes every morning, whether it is sitting to meditate, whatever it might be for you. Some people like to journal right off the bat in the morning. Other people are not awake enough to put so much effort into something that's going on paper, but it's really about whatever works for you and starting off your day on the right note, on the right foot. If you wake up and you are dreading the day or you're dreading what the day holds, you are setting yourself up to have a really bad day. So whatever you can do to start everything out right is extremely important. You put faith in things, you look for the good stuff, you try to emphasize the good stuff, de-emphasize the bad stuff, and just focus on the right things. Stay positive. It sounds both easy and then when you think about it more, pretty hard to do, but it's possible, it's real, and it can happen. It's all well and good for me to explain where I used to be, but if I don't show you where I am now and what life means to me and what recovery is really all about and how fantastic it is, you're not going to want to achieve it. You're not going to think that it's great. You're not going to think that it's possible. You're not going to think that it's something worth shooting for. So the focus really needs to be on what comes after the eating disorder. And
it also has to be on the process of recovery itself, which sometimes is bad, sometimes is good, sometimes is difficult, sometimes is a struggle in itself. But to show you the reality of that, the process and the journey of recovery, instead of the past behaviors and acts and stats and details of the eating disorder, is really going to get you farther. I do think it usually takes a certain amount of time to understand it and come to terms with it and be okay with it, because it sort of has a negative connotation in our society, I think. If someone you know had schizophrenia, you would find it very difficult to deal with, perhaps if you were their family member. You would feel helpless at times, and you would be worried, and you would be concerned, and you would have some internal struggles, but you wouldn't think to yourself, just stop being schizophrenic. You can control this if you want to control it. You wouldn't think that black and white if you were talking about someone with another mental illness, just using schizophrenia as an example. But you have to make the commitment. Are you going to do it? I hope you will. I hope you will. You will.
Everyone knows if you care.